Hey there, thanks for joining me for the walkthrough of the Stablecoin Studio creation workflow. In this video, I'm going to dive into how you can create your own stablecoin effortlessly through our web interface or using the command line interface. But first, let's set the stage by understanding the behind the scenes magic when creating a stablecoin using the Stablecoin Studio. Now, if you're stepping into the shoes of a stablecoin admin, you've got two paths ahead. Option 1, you can use a web application, or option 2, you can use a command line tool. Whichever route you take, both options are integrated with the stablecoin SDK, which in turn communicates with what we call the factory contract to create a new stablecoin. And just so you know, the factory contract is a smart contract that is deployed on the Hedera network, which contains all the logic to create a new stablecoin. So, what happens next? When you call the factory contract, it will deploy two more contracts that will create the stablecoin. First up is the Hedera Token Manager proxy, followed by the Hedera Token Manager. The Hedera Token Manager proxy takes on the role of overseeing the ownership over the Hedera Token Manager contract. Meanwhile, the Hedera Token Manager smart contract is responsible for managing permissions for your stablecoin. So, what does the process look like for an end user? Well, users don't have to interact with smart contracts. They can interact directly with your stablecoin through the Hedera token service, making it more convenient and cheaper for users to use your stablecoin. On the other hand, as a stablecoin admin, you'll manage your stablecoin through a smart contract using the Hedera Token Manager contract. This contract provides you with more flexibility and control over your stablecoin. Alright, let's get into action. For those who love to interact with the command line interface, I'll show you how you can use the CLI creation flow. I am in the project's code and I'm in the main folder, in the root folder. Let's first navigate to the CLI folder. This folder contains all the logic to start our CLI. And then we have to run npm run start :wizard. And this will start the interactive shell, which will allow us to create a new stablecoin. The first question you get is which account you want to use to operate the CLI. So by default, it will show you the account you have prepared. So let's pick this account. Next, it will ask you what you want to do. So we can create a new stablecoin. We can manage imported tokens. We can operate an already existing stablecoin, list the stablecoins we've already created, or change something in the configuration. So for now, let's type 1 because we want to create a new stablecoin and hit enter. So let's give our stablecoin a proper name. And let's call it SH. And then we can say that we want to configure some of the basic details. So let's say yes for now. So by default, I want to keep the 6 decimals. So to accept the default value, you can just hit enter. Then you can say if the token should have an infinite value. I want to accept the default value again. Initial supply, I want to create 10,000 tokens. And I don't want to add any metadata, so just hit enter. Then the interactive shell asks you if the smart contract should be used for all the roles. So it's a good decision to do this because we want the admin contract to be able to manage all our roles. And then we can also enable KYC. If you enable KYC, users will first have to get approval from you or from your KYC provider before they can associate with the token and use it. I don't want to enable this. You can also add custom fees. For example, if you want to charge a 1% fee for every transaction users do using your token, I also want to disable this. And then the CLI will ask you if you want to become the admin for the keys that you have assigned to the smart contract. No, let's keep the default value here. And do you want to use the proof of reserve to keep the tutorial simple? We also want to enable this. And if you want to use your current account as a proxy admin owner, it's a good decision to do this because you want your account to be able to manage the roles. And then we have to choose a Hedera factory contract. By default, we only have one factory contract on the testnet now. It's possible in the future there will be multiple implementations, but for now, let's just accept the first implementation. And here we get an overview of all the decisions we have made, as you can see. So we are sure that all the parameters are correct, and it will start creating the stablecoin on the testnet. We can actually grab the first transaction already. Let's copy this link. Now, I've opened up the link in my browser, and Hashscan shows us 4 transactions. It's actually 1 parent transaction and 3 child transactions. You can see the relationships under the relationship tab. And when you look at the nonce, you can also determine the order. So the parent transaction got nonce 0, and then the following child transactions got values 1, 2, and 3. So what actually happened? First, we have called our factory contract, which then created 2 new transactions to create both the Hedera Token Manager proxy and Hedera Token Manager contracts. And finally, the actual stablecoin has been created. So now you have successfully created a new stablecoin on the Hedera testnet using the CLI tool.